Coming up on News 2, VI Elections Board members meet on St. Thomas. Details of what was discussed on the agenda, plus some information for VI voters. Also, a bill authorizing the VI government to sell homes at Estate Williams Delight by converting rent paid into credit towards a mortgage is discussed. Plus, some Halloween safety tips for parents to keep in mind. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, the territory inches toward the big election day, but the Joint Election Board can't seem to agree on how to fix significant problems, including the DS200 tabulating machines. Police got involved in a packed meeting they held Thursday, and they didn't get far in the agenda. News 2's April Knight was on the scene.
5 days before general election, tensions rise. The Joint Board of Election held another emergency meeting with a full agenda, but they barely got past item number 1. The election's territorial coordinator in charge of technology made a presentation that caused an abrupt halt in the meeting.
This person does not get the vote, and the person I went and purposefully voted for gets the vote. It's not that it's giving it to the wrong person. I chose to fill in this circle.
When the coordinator recommended to use the DS200, some board members and the board attorney protested, claiming her presentation was not correct. And then another decision that got the public riled up, going into executive session. According to Joint Board Chairperson Alicia Wells, they went into executive session to talk about the coordinator's presentation. But residents who were present and even some members of the board say that reason is not good enough under the open meetings law.
You can't just decide it because your own expert talk against what you're trying to do.
The police got involved, listening to different sides, and then decided to ask the public to leave. There was a lot of resistance, but 1 hour later, members of the public trickled out of the room, ending in this outburst.
You've been chilling. They're telling me to leave because you're discussing the DS200. The lady's sitting there that it's fine.
After executive session, board members again demonstrated why the machines could not be used by the voters themselves. In a test run, one person picked a party symbol and also overvoted by picking one independent senator. The machine recorded the party in all the categories, but in the senators category, only the independent senator was counted. The rest in the party was kicked out of the senatorial race. The machine did not inform the voter of this change. Board member Arturo Watlington said one inaccuracy in the technology is enough not to let voters use the machines themselves. The board members will be feeding in the ballots after the polls close on election night. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And Counter 2 to keep you updated. Alla F. Mulla Elementary Schools organized a mock election Wednesday to help give students that exposure at a young age. Principal Brown and her staff organized a voting system for their 470-plus students, kindergartners through 5th graders, who were given mock ballots to cast their votes. 6th graders, however, were given sample ballots similar to the ones that will actually be used on November 4th. All students were able to experience the confidentiality and independent aspect of voting by walking up to the ballot box and placing their votes. Well, when you go out to vote on Tuesday, make sure you know where your polling sites are. On St. Thomas, it's at Ivana Udoriken, Joseph Gomez, Tutu Park Mall, BCB, Charlotte Amalie High School, Oswald Harris Court, Winston Ramos Center, Gladys Abraham, Cancrine, Alla F. Mulla, and Sibley School. On St. Croix, polling sites are at Florence Williams Library, Elena Christian, Juanita Gardine, Alfredo Andrews, Pearl B. Lawson, JFK Project Center, Lou Muckle, Educational Complex, Ricardo Richards, Eulalie Rivera, Evelyn Williams, Alexander Henderson, and the Clodomaco schools. On St. John, it's at the Julius Sproul and Guy Benjamin schools. You can look these up on the election website at www.vivote.gov. On Wednesday, Governor John DeYoung and principals for the company trying to purchase the Hovenza refinery signed an operating agreement. The document between the VI government and Atlanta Basin Refining VI is one piece towards the possibility of a working refinery, but it must be approved by the Senate to move forward.
The operating agreement outlines employment terms, number of people we'd like to have employed at a minimum, fixed and variable payments over a period of time and through the life of the agreement. But it also recognizes that the owners of the refinery not only have to pay for the acquisition of it, but also there's an investment that they estimate is close to about $1 billion in terms of a restart of the refinery. And that restart is a combination of investment in plant and equipment, but also about $200 million in terms of training. This is an opportunity for us to turn that asset back to a viable, income-producing, economically viable sort of asset in St. Croix that we need right now in terms of our job creation.
Senators played host to a full house Thursday. Residents from Williams Delight showed up in huge numbers to see how a housing bill designed to help them would play out. NEWS2's Erica Parsons has the story.
At least 50 Williams Delight residents showed up at the Senate to see if they would be any closer to home ownership.
You need to support this bill and bring relief to the residents of Williams Delight.
The bill on the table proposed by Senator Alicia Hansen would help Williams Delight tenants purchase their homes by applying the rent they've paid towards the mortgage. Housing officials said the bill as it's written wouldn't comply with HUD's federal regulations.
With respect to the individual residents, however, there are specific requirements for the sale that apply across the United States that we cannot, as a jurisdiction, change.
There is a home ownership plan in place that allows the tenants to buy the homes that number close to 300. Officials say 3 have closed and 9 more are in the process. Housing officials and senators both said they support home ownership, but senators, like many of the residents present, weren't convinced the Housing Authority did enough to challenge HUD.
Have you provided an alternative for the eligibility that would satisfy HUD?
Not once did he go to HUD. All he's saying is how it can be done. The center of disposition of HUD in Chicago makes it clear that there are certain categories and certain technical things that can be brought to them. In prior meetings, we have asked, beseeched, and implored Mr. Graham and his staff to make the appropriate communication to the disposition center and asking them to waive some of the requirements. Some requirements have been waived, but the substantive requirements have not.
The Williams Delight president challenged every statement presented by Housing, but was ultimately told there is a process to follow for home purchase, and it can't be done through local legislation. Erica Parsons, News 2.
The Williams Delight housing measure was not voted out of committee. The Committees on Finance and Culture, Historic Preservation, Youth and Recreation, chaired by Senators Clifford Graham and Myron D. Jackson, respectively, they held a combined meeting at the Legislative Conference Room in St. John Tuesday evening to discuss solutions for the exorbitant tax increases plaguing property owners on St. John. Community members participated in the discussion by sharing their own histories of how they came to possess land on the island. Senators questioned Ira Mills, tax assessor at the Office of Lieutenant Governor, who explained that the spike in property taxes occurred because rates were being given based on dated assessments. We'll turn our attention overseas. Officials wanted Casey Hitchcock to stay under house quarantine for 11 more days until the Ebola incubation period is over, but she was out and about in the public this morning. Maine's governor says negotiations with the nurse have broken down and he's ready to exercise the full extent of his authority. The nurse went for a bike ride with her boyfriend. State troopers followed her but did not try to stop her because they did not have a judge's permission. Hickox returned from treating Ebola patients in West Africa last Friday and was quarantined inside a New Jersey hospital tent after she returned and developed a fever. Keeping our eye on the economy, UPS says its busiest day of the holiday season should be December 22nd, the Monday before Christmas. The company expects to deliver more than 34 million packages, double the amount of a normal day. UPS plans to hire up to 95,000 seasonal workers to make deliveries. Last holiday season, UPS failed to deliver more than 1 million packages that were guaranteed to arrive by Christmas Eve. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. Everything up, the Dow 221, NASDAQ 16. Coming up on News 2, our breast cancer awareness continues. Who is at most risk for breast cancer, younger or older women? Details coming up. Plus, Halloween is on Friday. A few Halloween safety tips for parents to keep in mind from the Poison Control Center. We'll be right back. Breast cancer awareness continues during this month of October. Younger women generally do not consider themselves to be at risk for breast cancer. And in fact, just under 7% of all breast cancer cases occur in women under 40 years old. That's according to a national poll. However, breast cancer can strike at any age.
More and more we're seeing women of all ages, women in their 20s, 30s, 40s. A lot of young women tend to have more aggressive breast cancers, so we have to be a little bit more aggressive with them. Also, there is a type of breast cancer called triple-negative breast cancer, which seems to be more prevalent in younger women, women of African descent, and it tends to be a little bit more aggressive as well. There's also what we found is that a significant number of women with triple-negative breast cancers, they carry a genetic mutation, which is called BRCA1 or BRCA2. And so here in the Virgin Islands, as I said, we don't really have all the statistics, but breast cancer is definitely very common. It affects women of all ages.
Now be sure to tune in for our last segment on mammograms and how they are performed on Friday's newscast. A community health fair on the move is planned. The medical mobile will be moving the clinic services to Crown Bay Center for one day, Friday, October 31st, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You are invited at the Crown Bay Center as they partner up with the Department of Health to offer the free fair. What will be offered? Well, health tips, HIV testing by Hope, flu vaccinations, blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol screenings. Again, that's on Friday at Crown Bay from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Red Ribbon Week activities continue in the territory with the theme, Love Yourself, Be Drug-Free. Well, today there was an outreach at Happy Children Preschool and George's Christian Academy. There was also a pledge to be drug-free that was held in front of the cafeteria at UVI campus, as well as a Speak Out on Drugs. UVI students also marched from Emil Griffith to the Emancipation Garden. The recognition was established to remember the life of drug enforcement agent Enrique Kiki Camarena, who was murdered by drug dealers in 1985. Red Ribbon Week promotes the importance of drug prevention and is celebrated in schools across the United States. Well, Halloween can be a time for fun, especially for the trick-or-treaters participating in various activities associated with the celebration. The health professionals at the Florida USVI Poison Information Center in Jacksonville, they say it can be an important resource for parents at the time of this year, where you can ask them questions concerning possible tainted candy, use of costume materials, and foodborne illnesses. Parents can call the Poison Center helpline at 1-800-222-1222 24 hours a day when these questions come up. Now be sure to use, they say, non-toxic paints and materials for costume designs, and pay close attention to food or candy labels to prevent food allergies. Parents should also inspect all treats their children bring home before any are consumed, and immediately discard treats with puncture holes, tears, or signs of rewrapping. Be careful with hard candy, gum, peanuts, and toys with small parts. Wear reflective costumes in the dark or carry a flashlight. Bull and Bread Day, Liberty Day, and Hamilton Jackson Day. All events will be held on Saturday. St. Croix residents will honor the memory of D. Hamilton Jackson and then dine on the traditional bull and bread at the Grove Place Park, which bears a bust of Jackson. Speakers will recount Jackson's legacy as an educator, journalist, judge, politician, and true friend. November 1st marks David Jackson Day, or Liberty Day. Festivities begin at 9 a.m. and the official ceremony is set for 1 p.m. The keynote address will come from Educational Complex Junior Iris Baptiste, again in the Grove Place Park. It's put together every year by the Grove Place Action Committee. Natalie Maria Cole was born on February 6, 1950 to vocal music legend Nat King Cole and jazz singer Maria Cole in Los Angeles, California. At the age of 6, she recorded I'm Goodwill, Your Christmas Spirit with her father. And by age 11, the young songstress had begun performing in the community. She produced hit songs such as This Will Be and Everlasting Love, earning the young starlet her first 2 Grammy Awards. Cole's career took flight, and throughout the 1970s, she turned out 4 gold and 2 platinum records and another #1 R&B hit, I've Got Love on My Mind. You can catch her. She's in the VI at the Reichel on Saturday at 8 p.m. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.